Welcome in, everyone. Thanks again for joining me. Today, I'd like to offer a guided meditation on what I call meeting the moment. So, as we often hear in meditation, generally, meditation is about bringing our attention, our presence, sometimes we say our awareness, more and more into the present moment. And how do we meet this moment in some different kinds of ways? Obviously, there's general mindfulness practice, or what we call in Buddhist meditation, shamatha or calm abiding meditation. But there's also other kinds of ways I often practice meeting different moments throughout the day or in my formal meditation practice. Of course, these all involve some form of mindful awareness. But what I specifically like to explore here in this guided meditation is a way to do this that you can both incorporate into a formal practice, and also you might be able to incorporate just into your day-to-day life, meeting the moments of your experience. So we're going to explore various moments in body and mind, just to give you some ideas of how you might work with it. But of course, this is going to be highly personal, as it just means meeting what's up for you in this moment. So let's get started. So go ahead and find a posture that's relaxed yet alert. If you're sitting in a chair, I generally recommend sitting towards the front of the chair, placing your feet flat on the floor. If you want to sit on a cushion on the floor, that's also fine. The main thing is an upright posture so we can be awake, but also relaxed. We don't want to be tight or tense. And you're welcome to close your eyes for this one or open them, whatever feels good to you. We'll just start by allowing our posture to bring us more and more into the moment. So what parts of your felt experience, what parts of your body can you bring presence to right now? For me, this is often the feet, as I like to initially drop my attention there. It's very grounding for me. Coming out of my head down into my lower body. But of course, if there's another place, like the weight of your body in the seat or your fingertips, anywhere that feels grounding and accessible. For some people, the feet are kind of new to be present with, so pick somewhere that's not so new for you. The breath is also just fine. Just paying attention to the breath at the tip of the nose, the feeling of the chest and abdomen expanding and contracting. So you have a few options here to explore for the next minute. And that's the first moment we're meeting. Just what's accessible in our felt experience. Breath, body, the feeling of the feet touching the ground, hands on the knees, whatever is accessible to you. So it's quite simple what I mean by meeting. But of course, simple things are often challenging. So give yourself some space. We're not trying to perfect meditation. We're merely entering a process of exploring our inner experience. So meeting here just means meeting a sensation, a feeling. That's what we're starting with. Just attempting to be with that in a raw, organic way. Raw and organic just means we're not trying to judge, contemplate, analyze too much what the feeling is, where to feel, how it is. We're just being with the feeling. So for instance, I'm just being with the feet and the sensation of the feet touching the floor. And of course, my mind wanders also, but I just meet it again. So that's a big part of meeting the moment, is we have an object, we have something we're connecting to in the moment. And we repeat that again and again. So if we're not able to hold that, there's nothing wrong with that. But what we do in the practice of meditation is we remember the practice again. So if, for instance, you're meeting the moment through the feet touching the ground, you would just meet that again. If you notice you're away from that, or you've become distracted in some way. So let's just do that for a few minutes. Be with the feet or the breath, whatever you chose initially. And when you notice you've departed from meeting the moment through the breath or body, just come back to it. This is less about forcing the practice. It's more about allowing the practice through mindful attention and awareness. So what we may be noticing is also other things that are part of the moment. So we're starting with a sensation, like the sensation of the breath, or the sensation of our hands on our knees or our feet on the ground. But of course, we might start to notice other kinds of subtler sensations, emotions, energies moving through the body, and of course, thoughts. Believe it or not, thoughts are also part of the moment. But of course, thoughts also take us out of the moment. So that's why they're a little tricky. So we'll work with them last. Just expanding the practice for now. Just using this quality of mindful awareness that is yours, that's part of your mind. Just notice what else is arising in this moment. So you're being with the feet or breath. You can always come back to that as an anchor for this practice. But just starting to open up to the rest of the body, noticing what else is arising. And again, we're also welcoming things that are both comfortable, that feel good, and also things that are slightly uncomfortable. So we don't want to necessarily throw something out because it's uncomfortable. But of course, if it's very uncomfortable, just come back to one of your anchors, hands, feet, breath, or just take a break from the practice for a moment. So there's a little bit of a smile that we provide towards what is needing a little bit more compassionate attention, an inner smile. Just in the form of allowing, not resisting. This is part of how we can meet our emotional experience as well as sensations that are not quite emotions, maybe we could say more moods or energies, but are also kind of sticky or uncomfortable. So can you also meet them in the moment? Again, if they're too overwhelming, just come back to our initial anchor, one of the anchors I recommended, or just take a break from the practice for a moment. So, of course, when we're meeting a challenging feeling or emotion, we don't need to solve it. That would also be not meeting the moment, because we will be going into future tripping, basically trying to imagine how to solve it, what we should do about it. And again, there's room for that in certain issues in our life, of course. But just for right now, see if you can just meet it with some kindness, some warmth, dropping an agenda to fix it. So we usually have three types of feelings that can arise. Some are comfortable or pleasant. Some are uncomfortable or unpleasant. and many are just neutral. So just meeting the moment of neutral feelings or uncomfortable feelings or comfortable feelings. Of course, when it comes to things that are pleasant or comfortable, we also don't dwell or try to hang on to them. We just allow them to move and shift, just as we allow neutral and uncomfortable moods, emotions, and sensations to move and shift. Everything's changing all of the time. And when we allow ourselves to meet the moment, we also see the moment is actually changing. Now you're welcome to just stay with one of your anchors or meeting the moment in our feeling world, in our moods, in the energies arising, sensations arising. Or you can move with me now into the third aspect of what I want to share today, which is meeting the moment of mind or the mind in movement. So movement here just basically means thinking or thoughts. So often there is a misnomer in meditation that thoughts are bad. Actually, thoughts aren't bad or good. It's really our relationship to them that matters. So we're going to start to enter a space where we can also allow and be mindfully present or mindfully aware of thoughts. Now, this is challenging. So you're going to have to kind of break the practice up and come back probably many times. It also helps to just stay open and spacious in the body. You can almost imagine the body as like a hollow tube that provides space for thoughts to move, to arise and fall. Of course, we can know them, we can see them, but we're just meeting them. And meeting them here doesn't mean thinking them or proliferating them, encouraging them. It just means we allow thoughts and we meet them as they are, which are just thoughts arising and falling. So that just becomes part of the space of what's arising in the moment. But of course, as we know, many thoughts, and especially the act of thinking, takes us out of the moment. So if that's happening, just come back. Reorient, ground into the body. And then allow awareness to become spacious. Spacious enough to host thoughts. Of course, we don't have to deliberately think here. It's just if thoughts come. If they don't come, that's fine. Just be the awareness. Come back to the awareness of mind as you need. Frequently is great, actually. Doesn't mean we're doing it wrong. It doesn't mean we're meditating wrong. When we have to refresh the practice and come back frequently, in my opinion, it actually means we're doing it right, if there is a right. And as always, you can always come back to one of the previous steps of meeting the moment that we worked with. In the feeling world, feeling and allowing, or just back to your anchor and being present with the feet, hands, breath, or wherever you feel most grounded. What you might be noticing or if you do this practice a little bit more, is that it's all kind of part of the same experience. So can you just allow the multitudes of what's arising in the moment to arise? Obviously, we can't be present with all of them at the same time, but we don't need to. We just become the space of awareness that allows, the space of awareness that knows what's happening but doesn't have to get involved. We'll just give this another minute of practice. Great. So we'll just close the practice by coming back to our anchor, feet, hands, or breath, or if you want a combination of them. For me, sometimes it's very helpful to just anchor into a breath that's also connected to my feet. It's like I'm breathing into my feet on the inhalation, settling back down into the earth and the connection of my feet to the ground on the exhalation. You can try that. See if that's helpful for you as well. And before we close the practice, just dedicating or committing the energy that we cultivated here, any spaciousness, any cultivation of meeting the moment that made it a little bit more habitual for us. All of that is constructive energy, and I would say our time well spent. So just dedicating that to both the benefit of ourselves and others, that we can all cultivate more awareness, freedom, insight, and of course, just warmth in general towards ourselves and others. Just sharing the energy of all that. Okay. So thanks so much for your practice. If you enjoyed this and you got a lot out of it, you can check out more of my guided meditations, either on my YouTube page if you're watching this on YouTube, or on my podcast on Spotify, iTunes, or also on YouTube. And feel free to reach out. I regularly mentor people in these kinds of practices, and I have also all kinds of courses available on my website, scotttusa.com, that go into detail and depth in these kinds of practices. So thanks so much, and I hope to see you soon. Take care.